Okay, today is Thursday, April
28th.
28th of
Mhm.
2022. Parker Coleman is going to do three things from each game from Tuesday and Wednesday's games. Without further ado, Parker Coleman.
This is because I missed the 26th. 26th was a very interesting day in baseball. Yesterday wasn't as much, but if I want to report what happened 2 days ago, I also had to report what happened yesterday. So the first game we're talking about from the 26th is the Pirates and the Brewers. The Brewers won 12-8. Adames had a 7 RBI game with a double and 2 home runs. He easily would have been the first star if I was doing a normal recap. Who wouldn't have been a star was Brandon Woodruff. He only went 4 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. The pitching is what hurt the Pirates, not the offense. They had 8 runs and 13 hits. Pirates are Pirates haven't beaten the Brewers yet this season, and it kind of shows the difference between those two teams. Reds Padres. The Reds offense didn't look too bad on the 26th either. There 7 out of 9 players recorded a hit. Votto still hasn't gotten very many hits. He has walked a few times. Cronenworth and Hosmer both had 3 RBI nights. It was Hosmer's first home run. San Martin, the pitcher for the Reds, struggled. He gave up 8 hits and 9 earned runs in 3 innings. The Reds and Padres, I guess they're going to be getting all their games out of the way early, which could be seen as a good thing or a bad thing because it's a good way to start the season against one of the worst teams in baseball. But it's also a bad thing to think like maybe if they're slumping in September, they won't have a team like the Reds to play. But who knows about their September schedule? I don't. But I just thought it was interesting that their series is basically going to be done today. Their season series. We see a few things like that. Same thing with the Mariners and the Rays, except they're done on like May 5th or 6th, and the Astros and the Blue Jays are done after Sunday. Speaking of the Mariners and the Rays, they're the next game. In the first game, the first game that I'm recapping, the Mariners jumped on the Rays 8-4. Well, they started off 8-0. Um, Gilbert. The second thing is that Logan Gilbert he dazzled again, 5 2/3, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts. Fleming for the Rays didn't have a very good day, and it wasn't his fault. He gave up 7 runs. Guess how many of them were earned?
Zero.
Yeah, you're right. There was a cool story for the Rays, and this kind of gives you a good feeling, even though your team didn't win necessarily for a Rays fan. Rene Pinto, he made his MLB debut on the 26th, and he homered in his first at bat, second at bat, but first game. The reason why that is such a feel good story is because he's been in the minors for 8 years before that. So first game up in the majors, hit a home run. The Rays didn't get the win over the Mariners, but it was still a good feeling for the Rays, for Rays fans most likely, and it was a good feeling for the Mariners fans since they won. So everyone went home happy. The Rockies are still not playing very good baseball, and it is a series, but it is how you don't like the way that they're losing. We talked about their defensive sloppiness in the first game on Tuesday. We talked about it. The first game on Monday, there was a horrible error made by Dom Nunez. He was trying to do too much. Throw wasn't very good, and 2 runs scored because of it. Now, of course, the Phillies would have won anyways, but you just don't like how the Rockies are playing. It's 2 or 3 losses, but they're still not. It's not like they're playing hard and losing, or that they're just in a slump. They don't look very good. They don't look like a team that should have been 10-5. Herrera had 3 RBIs in the first game on the 26th, double and home run. The other thing was that I was talking about the Phillies upswing. Maybe I want to see it for more than one series. Also, the Rockies' downfall. I want to see it for more than one series. Baltimore and New York. Now, anybody who's a Yankees fan can't make fun of Fenway's pesky pole or Minute Maid Park's Crawford boxes, because Anthony Rizzo had 2 home runs. He had 3 home runs, 426. Hitting 3 home runs is an easy thing to do, but 2 of them were only a home run in one ballpark, Yankee Stadium, and his last one had a 100 expected batting average. Think about that. Home run had a 100 expected batting average. That's kind of ridiculous. Joey Gallo had a home run, first of the year, and he got silent treatment because he'd been in quite the slump. Santander and Hayes both had 3 RBI home runs, but the Yankees beat the Orioles 12-8. Orioles Nationals continue to struggle. At this point in their last 7 games, they scored 14 runs. So their offense is not doing good. And that's kind of tough to say when you have Juan Soto and Nelson Cruz in your offense. You got to do better than that. Wendell had a 3-run home run, and Stallings had a 2 RBI single. Both two big hits is basically what does it for the Marlins as they win 5-2. Boston Toronto. This game was a wild one. So the Blue Jays give up 4 runs and 4 hits in the 8th, headlined by Story and Bogart's RBI doubles. And then we go to the 9th inning where George Springer would hit a game-time home run. Toppy would walk it off with a sac fly. What a win for the Toronto Blue Jays, and a tough loss for the Red Sox. Kansas City versus Chicago. Now, this is where the White Sox fans are probably starting to get a little worried because they have great numbers against Daniel Lynch in his career. He had like a 7 or 8 run ERA against the White Sox. He completely shut him down. 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Not good. Those Royals' first win on the road, they won 6-0. They were 1-4, sure, but still, first win on the road. There aren't very many teams that were winless on the road up to that point. Sox lose 8th straight, longest losing streaks 2018 when they lost 100 games that season. So it doesn't look very good for Chicago. I know they did get their losing streak snapped on the 27th, but we're getting to that. Cubs versus Braves. Dermody, he would hit a home run for a fan. She asked him to hit a home run for her, and he said he'd try his best, and she said just promise to do it, and he did it. First home run for Dermody since 2019. Fried and Stroman both duel for 6 innings. Fried gives up 1 run, Stroman gives up 3. And there wasn't a whole lot to say besides that Acuna, on this day, he was at his rehab assignment. That's the other news that's not going to be mentioned today, but Jose Altuve is going to join the Sugar Land Skeeters up in Oklahoma. And they said that if everything goes well for him, that he's going to be activated on Monday. But yeah, the Braves, they win 3-1 over the Cubs on the 26th. So Twins Tigers, this is another interesting thing that happened. 4 RBIs for Baez. Tigers only had 4 runs. So he had all the RBIs. And he had a great night. Baez is looking like a very, very good acquisition for them. But this was a dramatic come from behind by the Tigers. So they're in the bottom of the 9th, and there are 2 on, I believe. So listen to this. Grossman drops the ball. He can't make the play, and a run scores. I believe it's now tied. But the ball gets back into the infield, and the runner at third base for the Twins, he's coming home, but he goes back. Haas throws it. It's over the third baseman's head. Yes. That's a tough way to lose. In
the major leagues, that looked like even, I want to say college, maybe high school.
Yes. Haas, he's a big Tigers fan favorite. Tigers fans probably aren't too happy with him right now. He's a fan favorite because he was a good platoon, scrappy guy, kind of like Akil Badu was last year. But yeah, that's tough for Eric Haas and the Tigers. Tough way to lose. If the Tigers did win this game, I would be able to say, oh, look, I was right. They're going to start off the series with a dramatic win, but then lose the next 2. No, they started the series off with a dramatic loss. And it's very, very tough to watch, I think. Mets Cardinals. We're gonna have a lot to talk about in the second game of this recap for them. But this game, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. Bass threw 6 shutout innings, gave up 2 hits and 3 walks. Marte had 2 RBIs, RBI single, hit by pitch with bases loaded. Bass made comments on the baseballs and that things are getting up and in, and that the baseballs are crap, and that MLB doesn't care. That's gonna be important for the next day, and you'll see why. Did you see the bench clearing between the Cardinals and the Mets?
Just a little bit of it.
Okay, I'll talk about it. Because, man, the interviews were very interesting. Houston versus Texas. Odorizzi's good for once. I know he was an all-star in 2019, but he has not looked good for the Astros, besides the 2 nights ago. He threw 6 innings of 1-hit, 1-run baseball. The only run he gave up was an Adolis Garcia home run. 4 strikeouts and a walk. Kyle Tucker homers. 3 RBI game for him. At this point, he has 4 RBIs in 2 games. So that's great. Now, again, I also talked about this on Tuesday. I don't know how much he deserved that because I think Solak should have caught that. But I'm not going to complain about him getting an RBI. I just have to have the record clear. I'm not going to make it sound like he lasered the ball into center field for a RBI single. He kind of popped it up. And he knew he was upset about it, too. He threw his bat on the ground. And, I mean, I don't think he'd get a single out of that. The Rangers' bats are silenced. Only 3 hits for them in that game. I said the only run that came for the Rangers was an Adolis Garcia solo shot. Guardians, Angels. Guardians continue to lose. This is their 6th loss in a row. The Angels are 11-4 after 5 games. The only real note here is that Trout had 3 of the 4 RBIs for the Angels. Home run, double, 3 RBIs, 2 for 4. 2 more games. Dodgers, Diamondbacks. 2 more games for this day, and then we'll go to the next day. Dodgers ground into 5 double plays. As an Astros fan, I've been there. That's frustrating. And you really think the Dodgers really have to think about that. They probably think that, man, we could have used some of those rallies because the Dodgers would lead 3-0, but 3 runs scored for the Diamondbacks in the 3rd, I believe, or the 4th. But I know 3 runs scored in an inning tied up. Peralta would hit a clutch home run in the bottom of the 8th. Diamondbacks would beat the Dodgers 5-3. A's, Giants. Carlos Rodon looks really good. And he would go 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. I feel like the Giants are almost guaranteed to win whenever he pitches unless they score like 1 or 2 runs. Only run 1 or 2 runs. Because then, of course, there's room for error. Flores had 4 RBIs, 2 for 4 with a double, home run. A's president made fun of the Giants' attendance. That's kind of crazy. There were about 32,000 people. I looked up at that game. And if you take since we're cherry picking to fit an agenda, we'll take the worst day for the A's, 2,700. That's about 16 times the amount of people that are at that game. I had never seen. That's part 2 of tone deaf team presidents, right behind the Castellini saying that this is the best way, that tearing down a team that could build for a contender was the best way to do it. And if you really hate the team so much, then we'll just move. Like, they're just a couple of clowns. Anyways, 27th, Mets, Cardinals. Let's start with the good news. Arenado, Edman, 3 hits, and they account for most of the scoring. However, the bench is clear after many up-and-in pitches. The bench is clear after his up-and-in on Arenado. The interviews were interesting. Carrasco struggled, by the way. That was my other note. 7 earned runs, 3.2. But Pete Alonso said something like, "I'd put someone in the hospital if I wanted to." Mets manager said it wasn't intentional, up and in. Cardinals rebutted. Looks like it's a bit of I don't want to say it's a rivalry because they only play each other in 2 series a year. But if they both make it to the playoffs, which is a possibility, it'd be a pretty interesting playoff matchup. And here's how I want to point out to the hypocrisy of Mets fans. This isn't, again, we talked about fan bases here, but they are defending. Okay, so they're mad that Pete Alonso is up and in, was thrown out up and in, or / hit up and in 3 times this season. But even though they're all probably unintentional, but whenever it's up and in on Arenado, it's okay because it was unintentional. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's pretty hypocritical. This isn't to rag on Mets fans. It's just if you can be mad at Alonso being thrown up and in, but you also have to admit that it's not right for Arenado to be thrown up and in, or you could not care about either of them because it shows a Mets bias. I just had to comment on that. More happy. Back to happy news. Well, depending on what division you're in, the White Sox snapped their 8-game losing streak. Both Cease and Greinke go 6 innings. It's tied 3-3 in the 7th. And Vaughn hits a 3-run homer to basically break the tie. They're scoring the run after. Final score would be 7-3. White Sox over the Royals. Dodgers, Diamondbacks. This game is tough for the Dodgers as well. Ahmed would homer. Turner would have an RBI single. Would be tied 1-1. The Ahmed homer until the 8th inning was the only hit for the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks do get a hit, but 2 errors by the Dodgers allow them to win 3-1 with only 2 hits. Dodgers was a series to the Diamondbacks. The only 2 series they've lost this year to the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. That's just kind of how things work in baseball. It makes no sense. Pirates, Brewers. The Pirates have a tough night too. Well, a tough afternoon, I should say. Taylor's RBI single gives the Brewers a 2-1 lead. Pirates only got 1 hit, and their only run scored on a guy who grounded into a double play. The Brewers offense only got 4 hits, so it's not like they did any better. The Pirates did walk 7 times, so that was notable. However, you can't really do a whole lot with 7 walks if you don't get any hits, unless they all walk in a row. The final score would be 3-1. Brewers beat the Pirates again. Padres, Reds. Profar would have a 3 RBI homer, big hit in the game. Mackenzie Gore, he hadn't looked bad necessarily, but he kind of looked like, I feel like the first few games, he looked good, but not like notably good. Last game, he looked notably good. 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 10 strikeouts, 2 walks. The Reds were 3-15. Kyle Farmer did go 4 for 5, so that's something to root for. The Reds were 3 for 15 in 2018, I believe.
You do realize 3-15 puts them on pace for 27 and 135.
I do realize that, and I do remember talking about that with you in 2018, back whenever the Reds were 3-15 and had the worst record in baseball.
The Reds again were 3-15?
In 2018 or 2017, yeah, they were 3-15. They might have gone to 3-18 if I remember correctly. I know they're at 3-15 at one point. Manager got fired, and they ended up going 64 and 83, I believe, to end the season. So, I mean, I guess that's better. Still lost 95 games, so it's not that good. Mariners, Rays. This game wasn't as high scoring as the other game between the Mariners and the Rays. Gonzalez would be injured and only get 1 out before leaving the game. Rasmussen pitched well, 6 innings, 2 hits, a walk, 9 strikeouts. Kelnick and Rodriguez, we're talking about them. They're still kind of struggling. Kelnick had that 1, 2 or 3 game stretch where he hit, but he's still at 148 batting average. Rodriguez is at 188. Their on-base percentage, Rodriguez has 257, so that's not very good. And I think Kelnick's at 217. That's not very good. Thought I'd mention that. There's time for them to turn it around, but they just don't look like them or what they're supposed to be. Toro would hit a home run, would hit a solo shot. Luckily for the Rays, they had a 2-run lead, and the Rays would win 3-2. Phillies offense starts clicking. They beat the Rockies 7-3. Suarez would succeed. 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Again, Rockies aren't playing well. That's really all I can find. Because some of these games get repetitive. This is another series that I mentioned that ends super duper early. I'm pretty sure today was their last game together for the rest of the season. Baltimore Yankees. Montgomery and Wells both duel. 5 runs. Or 5. Nope, that's not dueling. 5 innings for both of them. 5 2/3 for Montgomery, I believe. Both gave up 2 runs. Gallo would homer again. Santander would homer again. Yep, the O's are on the short side of things. They lose 5-2 to the Yankees. More dead ball proof. There are a lot of times in that Nationals-Marlins game where it feels like last year would have been a home run, but then the ball just dies. The Nationals had that. They had the bases loaded, and it was 2-1, and there was a hit like that, but it just died and didn't become a walk-off grand slam. That would have been cool. The Nats lose their 6th in a row. They don't look very good. They're just struggling. Like I said, I don't want to beat a dead horse. They don't look very good. Something interesting I did find is that in a 2-1 game, both teams had a run that was driven in on a bases-loaded walk. So that's interesting. The other was a solo shot by Jesus Aguilar, I believe. Red Sox versus Blue Jays. Red Sox take their first game of the series, not the first game of the series. Bogarts had 4 hits. Walker was impressive. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. Stripling, he did well too. Gave up 1 run in 5 innings or so. I think he gave up 1 hit in 5 innings, but the bullpen's what hurt them. There are 3 different pitchers for the Blue Jays that gave up 2 runs, and that's how they lost 7-1. Cubs Braves. 7 pitchers were used by each team. Swanson's 2 RBI single was tied in the 8th. However, the Cubs would have a 3-run inning in the 10th to give them a 6-3 win. Twins Tigers. Joe Ryan. You don't want to face him. You don't want to see him. 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, no runs. I mean, Rookie of the Year candidate, maybe. No, don't just give it to him now. I mean, there's still plenty of time for another guy, but he does look like the Rookie of the Year frontrunner. He looks really, really good. Jeffers had 3 RBIs, home run, double. That's pretty big because they had 5 runs. The Twins are 2.5 games in first place right now. Ever since I criticized them, they're winning. And they have gotten lucky a few times, but I mean, it's the wins that count. Astros Rangers. Kyle Tucker, 3 RBI double for the lead. They're losing 2-1. Alvarez had a good game. And nobody's really going to mention it because, Kyle Tucker had a great base clearing double. It was just a great at-bat by him. But Alvarez reached twice. Well, he reached 4 times. He had 2 hits, 2 walks, and he had a throw to nail the runner going home. Alvarez is not a great fielder. So that was a great game, even though he didn't drive in any runs. And if I was doing stars, I might have given him the 3rd star, even though he didn't drive in any runs.
Well, he scored from first base, didn't he? The winning run?
I'm pretty sure he did.
What ended up being the winning?
Yeah. The Rangers rallied but fell short. And this is we have a nickname, or some of us do, for Ryan Stanek for the Astros fans. It's called like Panic Stanek or whatever. He did not look very good last. He had, I don't want to say he didn't look very good because he got the save, but there were 2 on with no outs, and it was a 4-2 game. He got pretty lucky because there was a ground ball to first base. He's really lucky that the runner on third didn't try and score. Then another ground out would lead to a run scoring, and then with a runner on third and 2 outs, and it was a full count. Cole Calhoun, it moved pretty well, but in real time it looked horrible that he swung at it. But it did move really well. And I think he really got lucky there. But I mean, he got out of it. That's what matters. It was just a really, really close loss. I'd say close loss for the Rangers. I was talking about the Astros, but I mean, I probably could have just pretended like I was talking about the Rangers and probably would have went over fine. Astros win 4-3, and we're gonna be talking more about Kyle Tucker tomorrow. So Kyle Tucker's heating up. Do you know anybody who personally doubted him whenever he was? Because you're on Climbing Taos Hill. Did you know anybody? Not necessarily people on Climbing Taos Hill, but like fans that necessarily doubted him whenever he was at like 089 batting average.
This year?
Yeah, this year.
No.
There was one MLB Instagram account that I don't follow, but he was just picking on Kyle Tucker, and it was weird because like I get it, he hates the Astros. Pretty sure he's a Dodgers fan, so ew. No, I'm kidding. But it was like there's so many other. First of all, saying that Kyle Tucker wasn't hitting the ball hard, which is what he said, isn't true. You just got to look at his baseball savant. And second of all, like, why would you pick on Kyle Tucker of all guys on the Astros? I get if you hate the Astros, you want to pick on one of them. But, like, there are a lot of guys who are underperforming. And it's just kind of weird for him to pick on Kyle Tucker, in my opinion.
Like the rest of the team, offensively?
Yes. And some of them weren't even hitting the ball hard. Tucker was hitting the ball hard. But he's proven that guy wrong. Tucker had 7 RBIs in 3 games. And spoiler alert, he has 9 RBIs the whole series. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Guardians Angels. That's kind of weird. It's like Guardian Angel. Wow. Taylor Ward grand slam, 3 home runs in 3 games for him. Taylor Ward is the Guardians killer, I guess. He had 2 home runs on Monday. He had a grand slam yesterday, and he also went 3 for 4. Ohtani was good again, as he always is. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, along with going 3 for 5 with an RBI. Guardians will lose their 6th straight. They don't look good at all. And they're going to face the A's. The A's, on paper, they aren't very good. Maybe they could kind of rebound from there. Speaking of the A's, last game is the A's and the Giants. I wonder how many games have had a leadoff home run to start the game and ended 1-0. Because however many that is, that was added on last night. As the A's would beat the Giants 1-0. Chad Pinder's leadoff home run was the only run of the game. I'm so close to finishing. Blackburn pitched well. He had 5 innings, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, a walk. The Giants only got 3 hits the whole game. So those are the news and notes from around the league. I'm pretty sure Acuna is back today, or at least he's off the injured list today. If he's not back today, he's back tomorrow. But the important part is that he's off the injured list.
Okay. Well, those are the games for the last 2 days. Missed yesterday. Parker had a lot of schoolwork and was tired. But this will be something you can do when, because we're going to miss days for whatever reasons, either me or you or whatever. So both of us.
If it's a boring day, then I would just skip it. But 426 was a very interesting day. 7 RBIs for Adames. Horrible error by the Rockies. Let me see. There was just a very interesting. I want to go back to it because it was just
Tigers, Twins.
3 home runs for Rizzo. 1 home run if we were in any other ballpark besides Yankee Stadium. Let's see. Rene Pinto. And I'm trying to George Springer's game tying home run. There's a lot of storylines. White Sox lose 8th straight. Odorizzi actually pitched good for once. The Dodgers blowing it to the Diamondbacks, 5 double plays. The A's president calling out the Giants' attendance, even though his attendance is the worst in baseball. They're averaging 7,000 fans. The second worst is like 14,000. They're just getting destroyed. But anyways, yeah, it was just a very interesting day. There were storylines for almost every game. And almost every game was interesting, to be honest with you.
Tomorrow we'll be talking about the Astros scoring 14 runs in a 4-game series and winning 3 of those games.
Against the Rangers offense too.
But they had really good starting pitching. You mentioned one of the games, but then Fromber didn't give up any earned runs. Javier gave up 2, and Verlander only gave up 1. So most earned runs any of the starters give up in 4 games was 2, which is kind of crazy. All right, that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll be back with more Major League Baseball talk.